Hello there. This is Mike from Dimensional Walking, and today we're going to do part 2 of Aliens, Antarctica, Our Crisis, and Their Crisis. Their crisis refers to aliens in the Antarctica. So if you haven't watched part 1, please do, because it kind of ties a little bit into part 2. Part 1 was about some of the conspiracy type theories in Antarctica, or people have talked about these conspiracies in the past. And at the very end of that, we talk about the alien base that I believe exists there. So with that said, let's go on to part 2. Now, on, I believe it was last Thursday, or right around, I think it was the 19th of March, 2022, there was an article in the New York Post, in the Washington Post, about some amazing event that just happened in Antarctica. Okay, Antarctica, as you know, is the coldest continent on Earth. It has the coldest recorded temperature of 128 degrees below zero. This is Fahrenheit. Any quoting I do on temperature is going to be always in Fahrenheit. Okay. So anyways, in March, the temperatures in the eastern part, and I'm primarily talking about the eastern part of Antarctica, which is a huge area. That eastern part of Antarctica typically runs this time of the year between 50 and 60 below zero. That's the average temperature. Highs, if you average the highs to the lows, in the lows together. Well, for several days, the temperature was 50 to 90 degrees above those temperatures. Okay, 50 to 90 degrees, freaking unbelievable. It's what I would like to call beyond huge. Okay, so some of the other scientists said the event, this particular climate event or meteorological event, was unprecedented, upending our expectations of the Arctic climate system. And I think, let me quote another one. It was impossible, unthinkable to even consider the possibility that this could ever happen. Just beyond thought. Again, I told you that typically the temperatures range between 50 to 60 degrees below zero at this time of the year. And again, this would be like their autumn. I guess we'd consider this as slowly going into their winter, or their darkness, all darkness time of the year. Anyways, the temperatures rose to 0 to 10 degrees above zero. Which, it's still 10 degrees above zero, sounds really cold, but to them, that's like a heat wave. That's like a huge heat wave. It would be like a huge heat wave here at this time of the year. And let me just state this to you to understand this. This is quite frightening. This is terribly frightening. Okay. Again, they were talking about different locations. Oh, one of the things I just want to fall back on, because this is from a personal experience. Last year, you probably all heard, if you don't live in the Pacific Northwest, we had this terrible happening, this heat dome that developed over from a large area, from southern part of Canada, all the way through parts of Washington, into Oregon, to central and close to the border of California and Oregon. Tremendous heat wave. Here, the record temperature, all-time record before this event happened, was 108 in Oregon. 108 degrees is the hottest it's ever been here, and that's the whole freaking state. Okay. Well, at my house in the northern part of Oregon, it was 118. So that was, at my house, it was 10 degrees above the highest temperature ever recorded in Oregon. I mean, that is huge. What I heard that is equally or even huge what happened in Antarctica just recently now. And again, I don't even know how to put it, what it means. It's just, and again, I have to tell you, I am, I did a lot of studying in climatology, meteorology. I was going to be a meteorologist. So I have a pretty long background on this. And when it happened here, I didn't even know what to say. It was just amazing that it happened that way. And anyways, so we've now had an event like that in Oregon or in this part of the country, and we have one in the Arctic. There's been some other ones around the world over the past several years, but these two really stand out. Okay, I want to make sure you understand how crazy this is. Give you a little example also. Yeah, so the records in Antarctica, I will tell you, only go back in some of these stations about 60 some years. Okay. And the previous record in this part of Antarctica was, let's see, it was, I'm trying to think of how much it was, but anyways, it beat the record. Let me just put it this way. It beat the record by 27 degrees, all-time record by 27 degrees, which is, better than the 10 degrees that it beat here. But again, the Arctic, there is some pretty wide fluctuations of temperature there. So 27 degrees is still pretty amazing, incredible. So again, the temperatures are running. There was one of the stations in eastern part of there called Concordia Research Center station, and it actually climbed to 10 degrees above zero, which would have been close to 70 degrees. And that would have been 70 degrees above normal. And what I wanted to tell you is I'm mentioning a few stations because this is a vast area. This is not one small anomaly. Sometimes you get these small weird anomalies where, maybe the sun, there was no wind and the sun was coming in from this angle and this time and blah, blah, blah. And it just, something really strange happens. This was a vast area that it happened in. So, and the reason this happened, and I'm not going to get overly technical, and I don't completely understand all of it, but this was a heat dome, a high pressure heat dome that developed off to the continent of Antarctica. And then with the additional probably moisture that's in the air now from somewhat of a climate warming situation, this produced and trapped this liquid rich atmosphere under this heat dome or under this dome of high pressure. And it kept on baking it and increasing, and it couldn't get out. The heat could not be dispersed. So it just kept on growing and growing and growing until it was, 50 to 70 degrees, even up to a couple of spots were up to 90 degrees above normal. So it's an incredible thing. And some of the high temperatures, some of these abnormally high did produce some melting in this region. But this one event probably won't tip the scales here, just so everybody understands. That's the good news. That's the good news. But it is said that some of these scientists were saying that the climate change is basically loading the dice, meaning it's increasing the probability that these things are going to happen, not only in the Antarctic, but other parts of the world. And it's absolutely shocking. I personally, when I did my predictions at the beginning of the year, I personally predicted, and we'll see if I'm true, that somewheres in the south central part of the United States this year, there will be one of these events. It's more of a gut feeling. It's what I've seen, what is developing. I see recently there's some really, Texas has the largest wildfires they've ever had there. And of course, this is a little early. I'm talking about the summertime, but something is starting to develop. And I hope it's not true, because everybody that's either lived in the South or understands there is a lot of forest in the South. You don't think about it that way, but Mississippi, northern Alabama, northern Georgia, up into Kentucky and Tennessee, And even a little farther to the west, there is some large areas of forest land. And if that dries out and we get a strong wind out of the north or out of the northwest, that's gonna spell trouble from a standpoint of fires. And again, if we get this heat dome here, that's what happened here, that we started cooking the vegetation here, and we had more fires. Now we didn't have like the super fires we had the year before, but we did have quite a few fires. I mean, we had some additional fires last year after the big heat dome came over. So anyways, so amid all the variability in the Antarctic, fingerprints of human-caused climate change is still quite evident. Now, the western part of the ice sheet on Antarctica has been losing mass at unprecedented rates over the last 10 years. And then on the peninsula side, it's some of the fastest warming regions of the world. And I think you just need to understand that. There's some really crazy stuff happening there. Now, one of the other things that seems to happen is that when Antarctica, and I don't think they fully understand this, why this seems to be happening, because just recently, right around the time where the Arctic had all of this extra unusual warming, so did the North Pole. Their temperatures were running pretty close to 50 degrees above normal for a brief period of time, which were quite shocking. They had one of those, I guess, bomb cyclones up there, and that drew a lot of, a very strong bomb cyclone that drew a lot of warm, moist air, basically from the tropical areas that normally wouldn't come up there, and actually warmed some of these areas up to 50 degrees above normal. So that's kind of interesting and also a bit scary. Now, how does that work? And what does that have to do with aliens? And what does it have to do with aliens and Antarctica? Now, again, I want to just repeat from part one a little bit that I'm fairly convinced by what I heard from my my buddy that actually has been down there and saw some things with aliens, well, with UFOs primarily, but he's speculating there's aliens flying those ships, that they have some alien bases there, at least one that he's aware of, and possibly more. But what I think is going to happen, and you can mark my word on this one, that as climate change changes the climate of the Antarctic, those bases are going to basically be exposed. And that's going to be a big problem for the aliens. And I think we're going to see some really cool pictures of bases that have been exposed, unless they dismantle them and leave, which I don't think they're going to do. Anyways, that's what this is all about, was that, you know, I wanted to get the message out about the article and the super warming of the Antarctic recently, because I think it's a terrible, dangerous situation that's going to happen. It's happening right now. We're living it. And that how it's going to possibly affect aliens and their bases down there. So anyways, with that said, that's it for now. Anyways, if you like us, please like us and please subscribe. You have any comments, comment on YouTube, or you can send us an email at dimensionalwalking@gmail.com. And thanks a lot. And we'll see you. Happy trails. Bye-bye.